only hold it for 5 more seconds. When we do these lives, nothing's prepped. The whole point of this is to really show you how you can make a plant-based meal in 30 minutes for real. Like not for play. Are y'all ready to make breakfast for dinner? So I got a sweet potato. It's just a regular sweet potato. And then I got these 2 red skin potatoes. I have the ingredients in the description, okay? Now, we're gonna keep the skin on the red skin potatoes because it's so thin. You could leave the skin on this if you're up for it. For me, in this recipe, I actually peel it. A lot of the fiber is here, so if you want to have more fiber, feel free. But I find it cooks a lot easier when I peel the sweet potato in this recipe. So potato peeled just like that. Boom. Super simple. All right. Now we're going to cut the sweet potato in half. So now one thing I should say, this knife is really sharp, which is really important when you're cutting sweet potatoes, because usually if you try to cut them normally, they'll roll away from you. So what I always tell people to do is you cut one end of it just so it can be flat. Then I cut along so I can make little planks. And the planks are also flat, right? And having those flat planks mean then I can cut it into my cubes. Now, if you don't want to do any of this, which I completely understand, you can also get frozen sweet potatoes. So in our first live, we did a curry and we used frozen sweet potatoes to kind of jumpstart the recipe if you didn't want to have to do a lot of cutting, especially if you're doing this on a weekend night, or excuse me, on a weekday. But it's really important for your knife to be sharp. A lot of people think, well, isn't it more dangerous to have a sharp knife? But it's actually more dangerous to have a dull knife, because a dull knife will jump off the food and then onto your finger because it's not gripping it. And that's where you can see a lot of accidents. So you got to be really careful, especially with potatoes, because they have such a hard exterior. So what we're looking for is about this size, okay? This size potato. And so why does that matter? It matters because the smaller the potato, the quicker it cooks in the pan. I'm gonna cut just one more sliver just because I like sweet potatoes. The quicker it cooks in the pan. Because when I'm cooking any dish, I'm always thinking, what's gonna take the longest to cook? Out of all the ingredients that we have, the potatoes take the longest. So I start with them first. Okay, so my pan is hot. That's why I love cast iron pans, because they heat up really good. And they're gonna give us a nice color. So this is actually avocado oil that I'm using, okay? I love this brand, Chosen Foods brand, but you can use whatever brand you like. I like avocado oil because it's a high heat oil, so it has a higher smoke point, so the oil is not gonna burn when you use a higher heat. Olive oil tends to burn when you use a higher heat, mainly because it has a lower smoke point. Other oils like this, you can do grapeseed oil that has a high heat, and coconut oil is also another example. So I'm just gonna let that oil, it's probably about 2 tablespoons that I use. It's covering the base of the pan, not up, just slightly on the base. And I'm gonna go ahead, take my sweet potatoes. If you were here, you can hear a slight sizzle. I'm gonna put them right on that pan, and I'm not gonna touch them because this is gonna give color. If you cook meat, it's similar to when you make a steak, or if you're like browning chicken, you want the food to touch the pan and then not move so it can get that nice color to it. The same thing is true for vegetables. A lot of people think, oh, if it's a vegetable, I should cook it differently. You can cook vegetables the same way you do meat. Actually, I would encourage you to do that, because that's what helps you have more flavor because of the technique that you're using. So after you do this class or this session, you'll feel more confident with that. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this red skin potato. Okay. I'm keeping the skin on, mainly because I like the skin. And the skin is so thin, so it doesn't take away from the flavor. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm cutting into flat planks, and then I'm gonna cut those into cubes. And I want to make them roughly the same size as the sweet potato. It's okay if it's a little bit smaller, but about the same size, so that way everything cooks at the same time. Now, a lot of times in recipes, what you'll see, they'll say prep all the ingredients first. And, if I'm cooking on a weekend, I'll probably do that. But on a day like this, I'm chopping as I'm cooking. That way I'm not waiting to get one thing done. So I always find what's helped me is kind of have a game plan. So I think, all right, what's the plan for today? I know I want to get these sweet potatoes in. I know I have some ingredients that are more water-based, so they're going to cook a lot faster. So let me cut the potatoes, put them in the pan. That way I can work on the other ingredients that don't take up a lot of that won't take up a lot of time when they cook. And you can do that with anything that you cook. It doesn't have to just be this recipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these potatoes, as you can see here, okay? And put them right in there, right with the sweet potatoes. So the potatoes are all in the pan. I have my heat on like a medium heat. We're gonna let those brown. While they brown, we're gonna cut up the rest of our ingredients. So here's the next ingredient, scallions. So I like scallions. They have an onion flavor, but it's not overpowering. So if you're someone who doesn't like onions a lot, I would recommend, look, I hit myself with the scallion. I would recommend scallions. Now the thing about scallions, the white and light green part is more of the part that tastes more like an onion. The top is usually more for garnish. So what I usually do is I cut that top part off. We will save that for garnish. And then I take the end here. You can see the end has like these little, the bud, that's where it was pulled out of the ground. I just chopped the very base of that. I love scallions. Don't feel like you have to use the same amount that I'm using. You can use 2 or 3. I like the oniony flavor. So I'm gonna cut that in half. Now they're just sticks, and I'm gonna chop them into little circles. So don't feel like it has to be perfect. The main thing I say is we want it small. So that way, like this, as you can see the little circles, that helps it cook in the pan quicker. So everything that we're cooking is roughly the same size, right? So as I flip it, I see the red skin potatoes have browned a little bit. The sweet potatoes have browned a little bit too. Now this is not gonna cook it all the way, but this is gonna give us color. That's all we're looking for right now. So now I flipped it over to the other side, just roughly. And you hear that sizzle? That lets you know you're doing it right, okay? So make sure everything is flat, okay? Because we want everything to touch the pan. So now our scallions are chopped. So I'm gonna move my scallions to the side, okay? Like so. Now I got my bell pepper, yellow bell pepper, okay? You could do red bell pepper, you could do green bell pepper, you could do orange bell pepper. I like it to be more of like the reds and the oranges than the green bell pepper. It's just my preference, but you can use whichever bell pepper you like. If you don't have bell peppers, another good substitution is tomatoes. So if you had like cherry tomatoes or just regular slicing tomatoes like what you would have for your sandwich, you can use those too. The acidity from the peppers, they help break up the fat that we're using. And so it just gives a nice contrast. And I'm just roughly chopping this. I'm not thinking of anything specific, except for I want it to kind of be around the same size as everything else, but it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the cool thing about this dish. It does not have to be perfect, right? You're coming home from work, or it's been a long day and you don't want to be in the kitchen doing a lot. Or let's say you're chilling and you just want to try something different. Same thing. You can make this what you want it to be. This pan is huge that I'm cooking in, so I'm going to use the whole bell pepper. But if you're doing this in a smaller pan, you could do half of the bell pepper. Don't feel like it has to be exactly how I'm showing you. You can make it work for you. That's what I always say in a lot of my videos. Make it your own. Make it your own. So I had to learn over the years that recipes are more like guidelines. A great friend told me that years ago. Like you take from it what you want to do, and then go and rock with that, because it's different than like baking. When you bake, for the most part, you got to follow that recipe because it's a science to baking and how everything's interacting. But with savory dishes, I feel like there's way more leeway. Where if you say, oh, I don't like bell peppers, you don't have to use bell peppers. You can use something different. Look at those pretty colors, right? We got our orange from the potatoes. We got a green from the onions. Got a yellow from the bell pepper. Now we're going to add everything together because this is a one-pot dish. So I'm going to go ahead, use my handy-dandy little veggie scraper here. It's called a bench scraper. I'm going to take my scallions, put them right in. If you don't like scallions, or if you don't have scallions, you could use red onions. You could use yellow onions. You could use sweet onions. You don't even have to use onions. You could use onion powder. Like, there's so many ways to make it your own. You know what I mean? Bell peppers right in. That. I'm going to stir it up. Make sure the onions and the peppers all mixed. Now, right now, it already looks beautiful. Right? Like, just look at those. Imagine this coming to your table sizzling like this. Like, once the potatoes are cooked. Because the potatoes are not cooked yet. So we're going to let that kind of come together. I haven't added any seasoning, and it already still smells very good in here. This is my favorite. Honestly, my favorite part of cooking savory is sautéing. Like, I say this almost every time I get on here. I do not like slow cookers, mainly because I don't think at least the way that I use them, it doesn't come out with a lot of flavor. All right, so I'm going to chop the top off the scallions because that part looks a little rough. And then I'm going to go ahead and, remember we talked about one part with being light green, that's more of the onion, and then the darker green being more like this garnish. We're going to chop that right now. And we'll sprinkle, this will be a topping for later. And whatever you don't use, put in the fridge, put it in a bowl. You can save it as as a topping for another dish. Because green makes everything look pretty once you sprinkle it on top. This is a good, go good with like on top of a soup. I actually made some crispy tofu. I've done that before on the channel, I want to say. I made some crispy tofu. I made it for my husband the other night. Oh my gosh. He said, how do you make this tofu? I said, why? He's like, it tastes good. He said, did you do it differently than you usually do? I was like, no, I didn't do nothing different. He thought it tastes like I fried it. I didn't even fry it. It was baked in the oven. That's how good technique can help you. So now let's go ahead and add some salt. This is kosher sea salt. I'm gonna add 2 big pinches. Okay, now some of that's gonna help flavor the potatoes, which we have a lot of. And potatoes take up a lot of salt, and soften the onions, help them release some of their moisture. I'm gonna make a little middle part here. I'm gonna get a little bit more of our oil, okay? I'm gonna add our protein. Now I'm plant-based and we're cooking plant-based, right? So our protein's gotta be something that's from plants. This is actually tofu, made from soybeans, okay? This is actually from Trader Joe's. I got the one that's a firm tofu. Now tofu, you can get extra firm, you can get super firm. I know a lot of people cannot stand tofu because they say it doesn't taste like anything. But to me, that's the beauty of it. So this is how it looks usually. You should be able to pick it up easily. Now you can see there's some water dripping. I want that in this recipe because we're gonna make this look almost like what you would expect with like eggs. But if you want something with a little bit more bite, you could do extra firm or super firm tofu. I got this from Trader Joe's. You can get it from your local grocery store. If you're in North Carolina, that's Food Lion. I know Whole Foods has it. All different types of stores nowadays, they have it. And if your store doesn't have it, you could even try Asian markets. So now there's oil here, right? So I'm gonna add a few seasonings before I put my tofu down. So this is smoked paprika, okay? I need to get some more, it's almost gone. I'm heavy-handed on my paprika. There's no salt in that, so that's about 1.5 tablespoons. This is some cumin. It's gonna give us a nice flavor. And then I actually add curry powder. Now, there's turmeric in curry, which makes things turn yellow, aside from the fact that it has a lot of health benefits. I want that because it's gonna color this tofu to give it more of a yellow vibe. So I'm just gonna take my tofu and literally just crumble it right into the middle. So, and it kind of looks like what you would expect from eggs, like a scrambled egg. So I'm putting it right in there. And I'm using the whole block because again, this pan. But you can use, I think in the recipe, I said half of a block of tofu or less. It depends on what you're comfortable with. And there's a little bit of water. We're actually gonna save this container and I'm gonna add some more water to it. That's gonna help us for later. So we just put that to the side. So look, you see how it's starting to pick up that color from the paprika and from the curry. Now we can kind of bring them all together like this, right? Stir, stir, stir. Make sure it's hitting all the pan. So remember when we first put that tofu in, it was white. Now look at it. It's got a yellow orange kind of hue to it. Now I have a special seasoning that I mentioned in the ingredients that's in the description. This is optional, okay? If you do not have this, don't feel like you can't do this recipe. That recipe still works perfectly. But if you do have it, I think it takes us to the next level. And it's Indian black salt. You can get this from usually any international grocery store. You can also order it online. I got these from Costco, actually. It's also called colonamic. It has the sulfur-like substance that reminds you of the taste of eggs. Now it is salt, so you still have to be careful with that. I'm also gonna give me some black pepper since we do have some curry in there with turmeric. You wanna activate that. And black pepper helps activate it so we can actually absorb it. And black pepper just makes food taste good too. Now, because none of this is raw meat, guess what I can do to make sure the seasonings are good? I can taste it without worrying about me getting sick or anything like that. So let's see, I'm gonna taste the tofu, make sure I like the flavors. It's missing something. Oh, here we go. I need to add a little bit of red pepper flakes. For me, this is important to me because it's gonna give a little bit of a kick. Not too much because my daughter wants some. She actually likes this dish. I made it over the weekend and it came out so good. I was like, well, maybe I could share this on the live because I wasn't feeling the best over the weekend. I was not feeling good at all. Actually, I was sick and I could barely cook. And this is what I was able to do. So that's how easy this recipe is. We got our tofu in, we got our sweet potatoes in, we got our white potatoes in, we got our bell peppers, we got our onions. So what's left? This. Our collard greens. Now, I did not slice up. I did not grab a whole bunch of collard greens, slice them up, wash them. No. I went to the store and I got this from my local store, Food Lion. It's already cut up and washed for you. And it's a huge bag. So this is the easy way that I get my greens in. But let's say you don't have collard greens or you're not a fan of collard greens. You could do kale, you could do spinach leaves, you could do broccoli if you wanted to, whatever green you like. We're gonna take the collard greens and put them right over the top. It does not have the big stems in here, so this won't take a long time to cook. Actually, I might put a little bit more. Cause Lily, do you like your greens? You like collard greens? She loves collard greens. And me too. So we're gonna actually add a little bit more. Because remember, just like every green, it's gonna decrease in size by a lot once all that water comes out. Let's see. You're doing great. I'm getting everything. I'm glad to hear it, Sandra. You may not remember me. I do remember you saying soup needed a little help. Girl, that's funny, Rosetta. So look, now I'm gonna still, to help it wilt a little bit quicker, I'm gonna go ahead and start mixing my collards with the kale, but I'm gonna show you a technique to make this happen even quicker and to cook down our sweet potatoes so that everything can come together on the pot. I have some thyme here. If you don't have fresh thyme, you could always use dried thyme, but I love how thyme tastes. I also have a little bit of allspice. I forgot to add this on. Just a little bit. And now we're gonna take our water that we added in here. We're gonna add just enough water, not for it to boil, but just to cover the bottom of the pan. And we're doing that, why? So that way we can create steam. So our pot should be on like a medium-high heat. And if you see, you can see the water right there. There's water collecting. So it lets me know that I added enough water to start steaming. And I might add a little bit more because I really want to make sure. I'm not going to add any more salt to this because the water is probably going to dilute the flavor. So we'll wait. Now that this is there, what we're going to do is take our foil and we're going to cover our pan. Now, if you had a tight fitting top to your cast iron, you could put that on top. But I don't have a top to this cast iron yet. I need to get one, but I keep forgetting. So I'm just using my foil to trap all the steam that's going to come up from that water that we added. And we'll check on that in about 5-10 minutes, okay? And in the meantime, we'll work on our extra toppings. So we already cut up that scallion, right? So I'm gonna put the scallions in this bowl right in front of me. So I know somebody said they'll do this for breakfast. I think it was Rosetta said she'd do this for breakfast. My daughter loves I made this for dinner too the other day, and now she calls it Brenner because instead, you know how we call brunch because it's breakfast at lunch? She calls this, she said, Mommy, can we have Brenner today? I said, what? Oh, I get it. Breakfast for dinner. Got it. A couple of things that we're going to add to the top of this once it's finished. I got a lime. I got some cilantro. And I also have avocado. So let's start with the avocado. The reason I'm adding the avocado, because I know a lot of people, when they say they want to do plant-based, they struggle with letting go of dairy. So the avocado helps because it's very fatty, like cheese, but it's a whole food version of a fat that we need. And so the avocado gives that creaminess that you may miss if you like to put cheese on top of your things. Now, it's not the same as cheese, clearly, but I find it to be a good substitution. So I just chop the top of it, right? And then the safe way that I cut an avocado, I take my knife, I put it right through the middle here, and then I rotate the avocado. I don't move my knife. I just rotate the avocado and turn it along the knife. Then I turn my avocado. Boom. Beautiful avocado. Now, most people won't need to use both halves. Usually, if I'm going to use it right then and there, I use the one that doesn't have the seed. I found that when you keep the one with the seed, if you keep it like that, it tends to last long. I'll put saran wrap over this, maybe add a squeeze of lime, and then the air doesn't oxidize it and make it turn brown really quick. And I put it in the fridge. So that's what we'll do for that later. All right. So now we'll slice this up. You can do it different ways. You could make a guacamole if you wanted to. You could, you can mash it up. I'm just going to slice it. I'm not going to do anything crazy. You know, this is a simple meal. But the thing about fats, right? You need an acid to break the creaminess of it so it doesn't overwhelm your taste buds. So all I'm doing is just running my knife right down the side. And look at that. Nice avocado cut up, right? And it's super pretty. Avocado, done, just like that. So I'm gonna put that right to the side. Ooh. It fell in my scallions. So right now it's avocado scallions. That's okay. It's all green. Then I'm gonna get my lime. I'm gonna roll this out. And that just makes it easier for me to get the juice from the lime. So we'll add this over the top once it's done. And then cilantro, yes, it's good for like, it's a pretty garnish, but I like the flavor of it. It kind of gives it a sense of freshness when I add it to the top of my dish. Now I'm gonna hold off on adding the stems. I'll use that for something else. I'm just gonna use the leaves here, and I'm just gonna do a rough chop. And that'll be sprinkled on at the top of the dish. Now let's say you're like, I hear you, Shayla, about the creaminess, but I still want something that reminds me of my cheese. Do you have a substitution for that? I'm thinking, like, I love sour cream. So there's a couple things. You could do this. This is what I'm gonna do. It's actually organic, what is this? Creamy cashew yogurt. And it's cultured. So this is really good for gut health. But if you didn't want to do that, they also make this dairy-free sour cream. And the base of this is by Forager. And the base of it is water, coconut cream, and cashews. So you gotta make sure you don't have a nut allergy. But I actually like this a lot. It's got a good tang to it. But I'm gonna stick with the cashew yogurt for today. Now, one thing I didn't say is, let's say when you were adding the water to the collard greens, if you wanted it to make sure it was flavorful, you could also use broth. Like, I know there's some people, they don't use oil when they're sauteing. Instead, they use water. So you could water saute. You could also broth saute. So when you added that water to the sweet potatoes and to the whole dish to help the steam come up, you could add broth instead. So that way you still maximize the flavor. Again, if you're trying to pay attention to your salt intake, they have low sodium broths that you could use to make sure you're still getting the goal that you want with that. So you can see the steam. Oh, maybe you can't, but it's a lot of steam coming up. So just be careful. If you have a top, be careful taking it off so you don't burn yourself. Now, all I'm doing is taking my fork. The potato should be fork tender. So if you look, does that look fork tender to you? Does it look like it's going through the fork easily? And I can push it through. It looks like it's pretty tender. Let me taste it. Just like that. Just like that. Let me make sure the other potatoes are cooked through too. Because I don't want to go in too early. I think I may need a little bit more time. Maybe about 5 more minutes. Yeah, the sweet potatoes are actually done. It's the white potatoes that aren't done. But that makes sense because we put the white potatoes in last. So it's going to take them a little bit longer, right? Now, if you're doing this at home, while this is happening, this will be the time to start cleaning up, putting up your seasonings, wiping down your counter. If you had something that you took out of the fridge, like me, putting it back in the fridge. There was another thing I wanted to mention. Let me see. I have notes usually now to keep me. Oh, so with the tofu, if you didn't want to do this with tofu, that's because I know a lot of people are still hesitant about tofu. You do this with beans. So they make a chickpea tofu. That's just chickpeas. I think they use chickpea flour, honestly, but you can even use chickpeas that's already prepared for you if you don't want to use a soy-based tofu. Or you could just literally use beans instead. You could do chickpeas, which I've done that before. You could do you could do black eyed peas, but I was thinking black beans. Now that would give it more, in my opinion, more of like a Tex-Mex kind of vibe. Hey, Shayla, where do you get the white potatoes? Hey, Keisha, so the white potato, I got those just from my regular grocery store. Yeah. Oh, you mean white sweet potato? Okay, I'm glad you asked that. So these are not the white sweet potatoes. However, I get my white sweet potatoes. So they're in the store. They're called Japanese sweet potatoes typically, or they're called murasaki. So I have them. Let me show you. I get these ones from Trader Joe's actually. You know what? That'd be a good substitute if you did these instead of the yellow. But these are very sweet. To me, these are almost like a dessert. You can also get them from the international store. And some local grocery stores, they'll have them in the international aisle. Have you seen, I did a reel on Instagram where I showed like how I like to prepare them. Oh my God, I'm probably gonna have them tonight for like my dessert. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I might put a picture in the in my Patreon. If you're not aware, I do have a Patreon community where we kind of go deeper into the why of what I'm cooking and me sharing what I'm cooking. And we've done a live so far, but I'm probably gonna end up doing more of those. If you want to join that community, the link should be in the description of this video. Now I think we're good here. So I'm gonna go ahead. Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna take that top off. Now look at that. Can you see that? Look how much the collard greens have wilted. And there's not much water left, probably because I added that extra little bit. I'm gonna let it boil off here. Y'all, I'm gonna have to take a picture with my camera. Can somebody take a picture on their screen? I don't know, because usually I hold it up and I show it to everybody. But if I hold this up, And I spill this, I'm gonna be so sad. I can't spill my dinner, y'all. I'm gonna be too sad now. I love y'all, but listen. Now I'm looking for the thyme. I'm taking the thyme out. So this is boiling off the last little bit of liquid. I'm gonna do a taste test, see where our seasonings are. Okay. Make sure we don't need any more salt or other seasoning. So a little bit more of this. Now I know I said I wasn't gonna be heavy-handed, but I need a little bit more kick. So this is just red pepper flakes that I added. I'm gonna add a little bit more pepper. And then I really can't taste I see you, baby. I really couldn't taste the calamari. Alicia, stop screaming. So I'm gonna add one more of that. And then I'm gonna do one more round of all my other seasonings. Remember, there's no salt in this. So add a little bit more of the paprika, a little bit more of our curry powder. I know it seems so odd, curry powder, but it adds such a great flavor. A little bit more. So what we're gonna do, so how I would envision this is this being served at a table. So like imagine you're at a restaurant and like, here's your scramble, and they bring this whole cast iron to you. We're gonna put the toppings right on here, okay? So put a little bit of avocado. Try not to seem so on purpose. Okay, then we're gonna take some of our scallions, sprinkle it. Okay, I'm gonna take one more handful, because why not? And then take our cilantro and do like this. Move this out the way. We're gonna take this cashew cream and we're just gonna put just a nice little drizzle. Can y'all please take a picture and send it to me, please? Whenever you see this, please take a picture. I really appreciate it, and then send it to me. And the way you send it to me is just join my email newsletter, okay? I can only hold it for 5 more seconds. Ooh! Dinner is, Beverly, you're right. Dinner is served. Boy, good thing I've been working out. Okay, I'm gonna serve myself first, so I'm gonna just go right in to this beauty. All right, here we go. Here we go. And I like to get a little bit of everything. We get some of the avocado, the collards, the potatoes, the tofu. Perfect. For real. The creaminess of that yogurt is like the next level. And I can taste the avocado breaking through. Do you want some? Do you want your bowl?
Sure.
Okay, you go ahead and
Thank you.
you're welcome. She's watching herself on the tablet. Let's just grab your bowl and go ahead.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm almost done, okay?
Favor.
Here. Say bye. See you later.
I'll see you next. With love.
Character. Who's coming over to have some? I guess is the most important question, because as you can see, I mean, this pot is bigger than my face. It's huge. On my way. Erica, good. We can eat it together. Got 2 people coming over. All right, I think that's enough. Probably 3 more people could come over. Maybe 1 more person can come over. I'm about to put somewhere on my plate, though. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna eat in front of y'all because I think that's kind of messed up. Yeah, make sure y'all share this with other people who missed it, who didn't get to see it. That way they can see it for later. I really appreciate y'all coming. This was so fun. And look, we did it took an hour because I was But imagine if you don't have somebody This is 30 minutes easy, and it's tasty. There's seconds, thirds, fourths, all of the above. We will do this again. Today is January 14th, so 2 weeks from now. So my goal is to do it every other Wednesday, 5:30. So the next one will be January 28th, after my birthday. Well, not 28th. What's today's date? The 14th? So what? I think January 28th is the next one. It's going to be on a Wednesday. Absolutely. I'll see y'all next time, okay?